Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world away, and this is one of those bittersweet days where I have got the last 10 stages of the Fanhome release of Robocop.
Drop it!
Yeah, so obviously we're going to be finishing Robocop today, and at the moment, as you can see, he's lying down like he's on the operating table at the moment, but I don't think I'm going to put a mat down when I'm actually working on this, because I do want him to have some digs. He's far too clean at the moment, so we're going to see what that looks like when I put all these last bits together. Now, I don't know if this is still available. Once again, all of my links are in the video description and in that QR code on the screen, so you'll be able to follow along with that. I think what we're going to do is we'll put it all together, and then we'll start talking about the model, and we'll see a nice final reveal. Anyway, without further ado, let's get cracking. Okay, so we're going to start with stage 91. And what I actually did was I basically bundled all of these together because there isn't much to do in the last stages, as you can see here. So I thought let's just do all 2.5 packs in one go. As you can see, we are now starting to attach this back section on here. This is the rest of the magazine. So, just to have a catch up for you, that's what we were working on previously, if you remember. And this massive pack here is stage 91. So let's get this open. And a lovely massive piece of metal again here. What we're going to be doing is we're actually going to be joining both of these parts together. So what we've got here is actually just going to be going onto that section there. And I'm going to be holding it in with 3 EM screws. Get them in here. Get them screwed in nice and tight. I am using my PH1 today. Again, this is my preferred screwdriver. I went through making this YouTube channel, 10 years old now this year. And for 8 of those years, I was using a PH0. But if I can get away with using a PH1, I will, because this is a lot more comfortable. That's the last screw just going in here. Now this is the switch button, which is going to operate that torquing that we saw in the last pack. And that's just going to be going through this side here. Doesn't matter which way around it goes, you could just sit in there. So as you can see, you can operate Robocop pushing that switch there. And this is going to go on Robocop's back. So let me bring over the model as it is at the moment. And I'm gently laying it down on the work surface like this. Okay. Looks like I'm doing an operation. Right. Make sure that this sleeve is just all the way flush with that top there. This is going to be going over the top. Now this is going to be going on this way. I don't want this switch to come out, so I'm just holding this in my hand at the second, so that when I put this on and lower it into position, it's not going to fall out. And there we go. That is lined up there. Now I'm holding that in with EP screws into the 4 locations here. That's 2. And then I'll just do the 2 in the other corners here. Perfect. Now we'll have a bad time later on if we haven't got this under the lip here. But with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. So in stage 92, here's the instructions. And we've got the battery box cover. That's going to be a simple one to do. Just putting that into place. And there's the rest of the magazine. Can you see now why I saved these up and bundled them together? Okay, get this open. Bring over Robocop again. And what I want to do just with this battery cover here is drop the screw in this side. And it actually needs screwing into this hole. So it's going all the way through. So that can't fall out now. The spring just on this side here. And then I've got a washer to put on just at the top here. Now initially when we do this, it's probably best to actually just drop the washer in to where this is going to go here. Like that. And then screw this in. That'll ensure that that screw goes all the way through there. Just like that. So that's the battery box in place. That's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 93, here's the magazine. And again, we've got a panel now to put on, just like this, which is going to go over what we've just been doing on the back there. So that's looking like that. Now, the front ones of these, your pecs if you like, were they were metal. These are plastic, just so you know. So the backs are plastic. To be honest with you, I can see why, because this model is very heavy at the moment. But there we go. That's just a push in. Looks like that. And then once again, bring Robocop over. And this is going to go into place. Careful that you don't pick up any screws. There's a magnet in here. So that's just going to fit on just like that. That's all there is to do in that stage. So as you can see, I am whizzing through this, and I think you can pretty much guess what stage 94 is going to be. We're just doing the other side here. We do have a couple of little details here which are different though, so we're going to put those in just like that. There's the rest of the magazine. Get this open. Now we do have these pins which are called a left upper armour pin, right upper armour pin. We don't actually do anything with those at the moment. Let me put them to one side. This can just go straight onto Robocop. The amount of times I've bought this backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. Okay, so this is just going to go in this side. That's pretty much that whole back panel done now. That's all there is to do in that stage. So this would move normally onto the next pack. So this is stage 95. And as you can see, we're now working on the chest armour here and putting this together just like this. Then we're actually putting this onto the front of Robocop. And this is the rest of the magazine. And once again, here are the parts for stage 95. Once again, this is a solid piece of metal here. And the first thing I've got are these little details here, which are going to go into the indents that you can see either side there. So this one is just going to go in this side here. Just push that in so it's flush like that. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side here. And again, pushing it in so it is completely flush there. So we haven't seen these since the very first stages, but as you can see, we've got two lugs here which are just going to go into the holes. Put the pecs in just like that, turn it over, holding them in with two AM screws. But you see here, the point is that that screwdriver is now too big. These AM screws can only have the PH1 screwdriver. Okay, so I've got some oil on this because we are going into metal. That's one in there. And I'm going to try and get this in as tight as humanly possible. Perfect. I'm then going to be doing exactly the same thing just on the other side here. So that's looking like that. And again, AM screws to hold that in. Excellent. Okay. Now it's going to be time to put this on Robocop. So let's bring him over again. And this time I want him round this way. Okay. So this, as you can see, has got magnets on the back, which are going to fit these ones here. So that's going to clip the top in for us already. Oh. You are coming with me. I pressed the button. There you go. That's in place there. And then this is why we needed these pins, because we're going to be putting these into the sides now. So the left side one here is just going to go into the side here. And then the right hand side is just going to go in the other side here. Perfect. And that's going to stop that now coming out. See, I'm putting pressure on here and it won't move. With that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. In stage 96, here are the instructions. And we're going to be starting to do a data connector here of the hand. Is that right? We're going to be adding some details to the top of Robocop here. And then, yes, we're going to be doing the hand which had the big spike in it. Let's start that. Here's the rest of the magazine. It seems like they really are waiting for the very last moment to do the head. Which makes sense, because I suppose if Robocop was completed now, you'd be like, okay, that's it. I won't do the rest. Okay, that was metal. Did you hear that? Okay, let me just put the details for the hand just to one side for a second. I just need these two parts here, which are going to go over the shoulder sections. And I'm bringing it back one more time. And these are going to reinforce the plate that we've put in here. So basically, one's going to go in here, and then it's just pushing into the holes like this. So a case of getting them in. Now I don't know if it matters which way they go. Let me just try this way. Yeah, they seem to fit better. I don't know, are they labelled? Yeah, they are, left and right, you see. So I did get that right, because this is the right side here. And that's those in as well. So that's how that's looking. Put Robocop to one side again. And this time I'm bringing over the hand here. First I've got the joint, which is actually going to go over these points just here. It's going to fit over the two shafts. So now that is looking just like that there. And then I've got its partner, which looks like this, which is just going to go on top here. So we're making a little joint there for the ball joint, but I am screwing those together with these BM screws. Going into metal, and once again these are too small for my PH1 screwdriver, but that's one in there and one in this side. I'm very happy that I have saved all of these up, looking what there is to do, but that's all there is to do in that stage. So, stage 97 is the instructions, and look, we're starting to do the head and the neck, finally. So getting all of this stuff together here, and then it looks like we are going to be mounting the head onto Robocop. Excellent. And this is the rest of the magazine. Now, if you remember, we do have the helmet section here, which is actually held on just with a magnet here. So I am going to take that off for a minute. So I am actually going to be working with that. Let's bring up stage 97. There are little parts in this one, so let's get these all out. Okay, and the first thing I've got is this little bracket here. And that's going to need a little bit of trim just into this side. So it looks like this, and it's just a push in. And I want that to fit in there nice and flush. It takes some pushing, but it's in. And then I've got this massive data spike. So we are still working on the hand here. There's me thinking we're working on the neck. Put the data spike in. So that looks like that. And then I'm going to put that together just with what we've been creating of the hand to one side. Bringing over this section here now. I've got these friction, I don't know what they are, friction discs, I guess. And we've seen this before. We're basically putting a large one in just there. Then I'm putting a small one on top of it, which looks like this. So they're stacked up in there. So I want the flat side to face towards the front here. That's going to go in there. Just saves having to twist it round later. And then I'm putting on this cover here to screw everything together. This is going to be a little bit tricky, I think. I just want to give you an example of how this goes. If I hold that in with that part, when it comes to putting it in, everything's going to kind of be lined up. But I do want to secure that in with 3 of these screws. Now these are BP screws, and if you want my advice for this build, these are brilliant ways to do joints, but, and there's a big thing with this, it really all needs to be metal, that does. Because the plastic doesn't really hold this very well. In fact, I've had one of my arms where the screws just can't hold it. The screws are stripped from the plastic, which has made one of my arms a little bit floppy. It just means I can't get that as tight as I want it. But they're in just like that. Now we want it that way because we want to be able to see through the window here for when I'm attaching this to Robocop's head. So I'm just going to put these screws to one side here while I bring Robocop over. So here's Robocop. Here's the spindle here, and this is what I mean about putting this into place. So the flat side's going to go onto the underside of that flat side there. Now the way they've got this is that this is actually fitting inside this sleeve here. So I'm putting it at an angle and pushing up basically. That would ensure everything in here is lined up, and it'll enable me to get some screws into these holes. Okay, so I've got one in there. Anyone who tells you this is easy is lying to you. This is the second one just going in here. Once you've got one in, it's easy to do the second. There you go, that's in nice and tight. Just had one of my pins fall out here on the side where I'm just pushing around. Let me just put that back in. And there you go, that's Robocop's head in. So at the moment now I can just put this back on here. To give you an idea of how that looks, obviously we haven't got the face yet, but that is all there is to do in that stage. That's pretty much Robocop completed. Let's do stage 98, where we're assembling this thing. I'm not going to name what it is, and putting it in just like that. And obviously we've got the plate that's going underneath here. We still haven't had this bit yet of the mouth. There you go. Now obviously I haven't got my leg opening on mine, so I do already have one of these here. Let me just put that to one side and get all of this open. Get those parts out too. I'll put this to one side because we don't need that at the moment. I am going to need this internal section here, and I need a trigger, which looks like this. It's just going to be going into a little cavity I've got just here. It is holding itself in, so that's a good thing. Now, in the back here, I've got this tiny detail, which is just going to go into the hole at the back there. There you go, it's holding itself in. Then I've got this pin, which is going to be going into this section just here. Gently putting that in, just like that. Okay. And then I want to piece both of these together. It's perfect. So I'm holding them in with XM screws. Two of these. So one in here. And I can tell you now, obviously, the difference between all of these is that this is plastic. This is metal. I did have this fall out, so let me try and get this back in. There you go. That's in. Let's just do this last screw, which is just going in by that trigger there. Excellent. So that's how that's looking. Put that to one side. Bring over what we've created so far of this data point, and I'm going to be attaching these sections here, which I'm guessing look like clenched fingers. And I'm after the index finger, which apparently is marked 2 inside, but wow, I'm going to have to get a torch in there to try and figure out where that is. Stand by. Oh, they are marked inside. You really got to get it in the right light to see it though. So that one's 3. That one's 5. You really need a strong light to get this. This one's 4. And this one's 2. Okay, so I need number 2. And that's just going to be going into the point just here. And it's pushing in. Just like that. And I'm holding it in. One pin goes in, but I'm holding it in with an AP screw just from this side. That'll keep that index finger into place. Just like that. So that was 2. So it's going to go 3, 4, 5. So we can get number 3 now. And do exactly the same thing. And holding it in with one of these AP screws. This is the final one going in here. So currently that's how the hand's looking. Bring over Robocop again. And this is basically just going to be the chin strap here. If I just take this off here, which is going to be going on the bottom here. So it's clipping into the sides here. Oh, let me just get this in. There's a slot for this to fit into. There you go. When that's in, that should look just like that there. That is all there is to do so far of this stage. So in stage 99, penultimate stage, here's the instructions. We're going to finish the magazine here, and look, finally, we've got the mouth. So we're going to be putting all this together just like this. And here is stage 99. Bringing over what we're working on there, and we're going to be adding the final details to this now. So I've got this part here, which is going to go on that side. And hold it with my finger, I'm going to be putting the one that's going on the other side over here. And they just clip together here. Just like that, so they can move, as you can see. Do the same with the magazine. It's just a case of getting both of these and then pinning them together like that. That will enable me to put that into there. Doesn't really hold itself that well in there. Oh no, yes it does. Looking like that. So we've got a metal thing done. Let's put that to one side. I'm going to put this part in later, so I'll tease you with that, just while I finish what we've been working on the hand here. So this is going to be going over here, the inside of the palm. Then I need the data point that looks just like this. I want it this way round, and that's going to go on top there, like that. I'm holding that in with WM screws. These are flange screws. Now, I'll be honest, I'm building this to show you what it looks like, but I won't be putting it on my Robocop. It was such a niche, quick scene in the film that I don't think it justifies doing it. It's nice to have it, I have to say, but I probably won't be attaching it. So that's in there, and then I'm just going to be putting the top on like this. That's clever. AM screws here, I need 2 of these, just into the larger holes here. So one that side, and one just this side here. So there you go, that's that complete. And then finally, let's bring over Robocop. This is a bit of an iconic moment now, just sort of going to give a lot of the things away. I'll just take his helmet off there. Now this is a sort of rubbery latex material, as you can see, the big wobble on it. This is going to be fitting into this cavity here. So let me take this off for a second. Put this into place and make sure it fits into the recess there. Then I'm going to put this back on. Wow, look, I've managed to get my leg to open. I thought I glued that down. That's interesting. So I get to show you that with that open. But there we go, that's into place there. And then putting the top on. The side pieces of this section here, you really do have to push them hard to get them in there, because when they're in, it looks just like that. Ah, that looks excellent. Okay, that's the end of that stage. Let me put that to one side. Which means finally the last stage of this whole pack. They give it as an arcade game. No, they're not. Let's see. We have got the hand with connector and a head. What are we doing here? Oh, we're just adding the fingers, by the look of it, to the last hand. It's showing you how to put this on Robocop, which I'm not going to do. We do have this part just to put in the back here as well. So there's the rest of the magazine. Here is the final stage. And I've got a thumb here that I'm going to be creating. So I'm going to put these 2 parts together. There we go, that's the thumb. Bring over what we've created so I can plug in the thumb, which goes in just like that there. And then on top, we're going to hide that with the magnetic palm section here to complete the hand. And then obviously, so if we wanted to swap this over with the hand that's in there, which I'm not going to do, what we do is we loosen the screws in the hand that's already in here so we can pop that off. Then we can put this one on and then tighten these screws up, put the top on like this, and then Robocop will have his data point. But I'm not actually going to be using that. It can stand up like that, so it's a good thing to have on the base. Okay, put that to one side, and I'm doing the last bits now of Robocop's head, which means I am turning him over here. Now, these 2 parts here are actually going to be going in kind of like this. So I'm going to be putting these in now. And they just slip in. There's some little lugs here. Let me take the helmet off for a minute. That's going to make things a little bit easier. So one's going to go in there. This one's going to go in there, just like that. Then I've got this section here, which is actually just going to go through the center. That's going to pin both of those together, just like that. That will hold that in as well. Then I can put the helmet back on. And that means I'm now ready for Robocop's reveal. So what I'm going to do is put everything together, put it on a stand, take my magnifying glasses off that I had here, and I will show you the beauty shots. And there you go, that's another model completed on the channel, and that was 10 stages, I believe, all in one go. I really enjoyed that. As I said, I think the joints needed to be metal. Also, the fingers, they're brilliantly articulated. They can't hold a gun, so that gun that you saw there I actually glued in. Other than that, really good build. I'm going to be putting it in the retro room, most definitely. It's the epitome of the 80s Robocop is. Anyway, as I said, I don't know if this is still available. I have put a link in the video description, and you do have that QR code on the screen. But I really hope you like that build. I really hope you like that build series. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.